like a dog without a bone, an actor out on loan, riders on the storm. There's a killer.
Hey guys, what's going on? We're entering the final week of our fantasy football regular season. So before that happens, I wanted to quickly go over the various playoff scenarios that could play out this weekend in order to make sure everyone's up to date and knows what they're rooting for. So I'm just gonna quickly go over it, and I'll start with the National Division where the two best records lie. But first, let's just quickly go over if the season ended today. We would have Dave and Willie as the division winners and the bye holders. Then it would be Sean in the 3 seed versus Steve in the 6 seed in week 1 of the playoffs. Jordan versus Trevor also in week 1. On the outside looking in would be the 4, 5, and 7 teams in John, Joey, Garrett, and Barnsey. All right, now on to the fun stuff. So Willie and Sean lead the National Division 8-4, and since no team is within one game of them, they are guaranteed whoever winds up winning the division the number 1 seed and a bye, and whoever loses it will still get the number 3 seed no matter what happens this week. They're both 8-4, so obviously since they're not playing each other, if one wins and the other one loses, that's nice and easy. We know who's gonna take the division and who's gonna take the 3 seed, but there's still a scenario where, despite the fact that Sean has the fewest points in the league, he could overtake Willie in the tiebreaker. So even if they both win or they both lose this week, he could still wind up winning the division because Willie only has the third fewest points in the league. So if Sean can outscore Willie by 42 points, even if Willie wins or if they both lose, Sean will overtake Willie in the tiebreaker. It gets even more complicated at the top of the American division, as Dave Jordan and I are all tied at 6-6. The matchups this week are Dave versus me and Jordan versus Barnsey. So what needs to happen is basically me and Dave's matchup holds the key. So if Dave wins, because he has such an astronomical lead in points over everyone, he's got about 135 points over Jordan, who's second place in points in the league. If Dave wins, it's pretty much a guarantee that he wins the division if he beats me, because I obviously will drop down to 6-7. And even if Jordan wins, Dave's lead in points is almost insurmountable. It would take a miracle. So Dave wins, he's in. However, if Dave loses, it complicates things a little more, because that would make me 7-6, and I'm only 10 points down in total points for the season to Jordan. So what that means is I either need Jordan to lose, or even if Jordan wins, I need to outscore him by 10 points. Otherwise, Jordan's the division winner, and so it gets a little diluted. But Jordan, Dave, and I are all still in the hunt to win the division and get that first round bye. All right, the John and Steve matchup is also huge. It's Steve, who's 6-6, versus John, who's 5-7. He's one of the 4, 5, and 7 teams trying to fight for a place in the playoffs this week. So even though Steve is 6-6, which is the same record as Dave, Jordan, and I, it's unlikely because of the point differential that any of the 5 and 7 teams can catch Jordan and I. It's not impossible, but it's unlikely, and it's completely unfathomable that they'll catch Dave. They'd have to outscore him by 200 plus points. So Dave is pretty much guaranteed a playoff spot. Where in the playoffs he's going to be seated is yet to be seen. Jordan and I have, while it's not completely guaranteed, we're feeling pretty comfortable where we are. So Steve is the 6-6 team that the 5 and 7 teams are trying to get out of there. So here's how it's going to break down. If Steve wins this week, he's automatically in, and it makes it almost impossible, and it makes it very tough for any 5 and 7 team to get in. However, if John beats Steve, he's only losing to Steve in the tiebreaker by about 7 plus points. So if John outscores Steve by about 7 points, that means that John would bump Steve out of the playoffs, and Steve would be eliminated no matter what else happens. However, it does not guarantee John a spot in the playoffs. So we get to the 5 and 7ers now. John, Joey, Garrett, and Barnsey. They all are still definitely in it this week. As I said in the last segment, it's a big part of it's going to be coming down to Steve versus John, because while it's not out of the realm of possibilities to overtake Jordan or I for a tiebreaker, it's very unlikely. It's not something I'd be hanging my hat on. So it's still a possibility, but that's not what I'm looking for if I'm a 5-7er. If I'm a 5-7er, I want John to beat Steve. If I'm John, I want to beat him by at least 7 points. But if I'm a 5-7er, all I ask for is a John win. It doesn't matter if it comes by 0.1. And if I'm the other 5-7 teams, it's not just about winning this week. You don't want a dumb luck win. You don't want to beat someone 100-95. You want to beat someone 200-95, because it's all about making points, making up ground in the point differentials, trying to get that tiebreaker, trying to get that last spot in the playoffs. So a Steve loss combined with a big week by any 5-7 team could put you into the playoffs. And anyway, from the very beginning of this year, I've said there's going to be tons of parity, and has been 4 5-7 teams, 4 6-6 teams, and then 2 8-4 teams who have accounted for about 3/4 of the dumb luck wins this season. So it's not like they're running away with it or anything. It's a lot of really solid teams. I said it I said it after the draft, and I still say it right now. So we'll see what happens this week. Good luck to everybody. Have fun. It's been a fun year. Peace.
Like a dog without a bone and